I know there are a million guacamole recipes out there, but this one's worth sticking around for. Not only is it flavorful and easy, but I tested a surprising storage trick that kept it fresh and green for a whole week. No plastic wrap, no slime, and yes, it actually worked. Let's get started. Hi friend, come on in. I am getting this guacamole started by mincing one yellow onion. Yellow onions store really well, so I always have them on hand. Feel free to substitute in a red or Vidalia for a less harsh onion taste. I want the onion to be rather fine so there aren't any large bites of onion. I am using a food chopper for this as I had it out for another project and figured why not use it since it was already out. A food chopper really makes it easier when making large batches of items. We love to use it for fresh salsa, mostly because we buy 10 pounds of tomatoes, so we want to get through it quickly. Normally, I would use a chef's knife to mince this down. For the avocado, I am cutting 3 in half and extracting the pit or stone. If you're not sure about whacking it with a knife, there is another method that involves pressing on the back side of the avocado, and that loosens the pit enough for it to either pop out on its own or to flick it out with a less sharp utensil. Do what you feel comfortable doing. My avocados are soft when gently squeezed, meaning they are ripe. I keep mine in the fridge once they hit this stage to prevent them from going overripe. To remove the avocado from the peel, I like to press with a spoon to mash and remove at the same time. This means less mashing later. I also put my onion in the bowl already, and that doesn't really help with the mashing. A word from the wise, save the onion until after you mash. I give that a stir and a mash with the fork to get the texture I like. I aim for a texture with small chunks. It's not a smooth puree nor super chunky either. This is personal preference. I am adding in some freeze-dried red jalapeno. Not only do I have it, but it lasts a long time in the pantry and allows me to add a little heat without committing to using a whole pepper. The texture is a bit softer than a fresh pepper would be, but suitable for guacamole. A fresh pepper of whatever heat level you prefer will also work perfectly here. Either a bell pepper or spicy pepper like a jalapeno or poblano. I add some salt and pepper to get me started, but I will have to give this a taste and adjust the level of salt and pepper to my liking. For the cilantro, this is optional. I know not everyone is a fan, but I love it, so I am mincing in about half a bunch. If you don't like cilantro, definitely don't skip the next step. I am zesting in 2 limes. I find that cilantro has a lime-like flavor, and adding in lime zest really amps that up. So for you unlucky lot that can't eat cilantro, substitute lime zest. Once I have the lime zested, I am squeezing the juice directly into the guacamole. Feel free to juice into another container and add what is needed, or using bottled lime juice works great here as well. If you don't have a juicer, pick softer limes and just give them a squeeze. No juicer required. From here, I will need to taste the guacamole to make sure that my salt, pepper, and acid levels are on point. If I need more acid, I could either add more lime juice or use citric acid. A small amount of citric acid goes a long way, but helps brighten up the guacamole without adding in extra liquid. Both work great. I have heard of people substituting apples for the onions, so if you can't stand onion chunks, you might want to give that a try. This will give a sweeter flavor while still maintaining the texture and crunch that a raw onion can bring. I don't generally put in tomatoes in my guacamole, mostly because they can bring in a lot of extra moisture, but this is personal preference. I do sometimes add in a scoop of fresh salsa when I know I can eat it in a shorter amount of time. How do you like your guacamole? Let me know in the comments below. Share your take on this popular dip. This particular batch made a little more than 4 cups of guacamole, and I decided to experiment with a new technique for storing the guacamole. Traditionally, I would just try to put a layer of plastic wrap against the surface to block out the air, but it feels like such a waste of single-use plastic. Adding a layer of lemon or lime juice is also possible, but then you have to either stir it in, making it runnier, or pour it off, feeling wasteful. The same goes for water, and no, the pit doesn't help keep it from going brown. Instead, I placed the guacamole in mason jars and used a vacuum sealer to suck out the air. I didn't think this would work because wouldn't that have already been tried by now and hyped up? Well, it worked! And much better than I expected. I seriously couldn't get to all of the guacamole for almost a week. And this is how it looked after 6 days and 7 days. Yes, they did show slight discoloration on the top, but not nearly as brown and slimy as they would have been otherwise. Now, this is my go-to way to store guacamole. This is what the finished guacamole looks like. I was really happy with how this turned out. I have been making it this way for years now. If you make this guacamole, it would pair nicely with tacos using my homemade tortillas. Give that a try, and thanks for watching.